One of the biggest questions that I asked myself and thing that I wondered about when I was just beginning my creator journey and I was first trying to get monetized on YouTube was really as a whole how the financial side of things worked. How do all of these YouTubers and content creators who do YouTube as a full-time job actually manage their money and pay themselves a salary? Obviously, I was fully aware that most YouTubers make their money through AdSense, working with brands on paid sponsorships, selling merch, selling digital products, and all that sort of thing. But one thing that I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize about making money through YouTube and social media, doing this as a full-time job, is that it requires a whole lot of financial organization and planning, which was definitely something I did not fully grasp or understand as a creator before I ever got monetized myself. You don't have any sort of benefits that you're given through your employer, so unless you're covered by insurance, you're left paying for literally all of that on your own. You don't have some kind of pension plan that is set up for your retirement through your employer, so that is also something that you have to plan for yourself. And unlike a traditional 9-to-5 job, you do not make the exact same amount of money every month and every year, so that does require an extra level of financial planning and organization. So for this video, I thought I would sit down here and answer that question that I had way back when I was first beginning on YouTube and walk you guys through step by step exactly how I manage my earnings, my paychecks, and my money, and how I pay myself a salary as a full-time YouTuber. If there is one single thing on the face of the earth that helps me stay sane, it is my budgeting templates. And I know that in a lot of budget with me videos on YouTube, a lot of creators have these sort of like Excel spreadsheets and templates with like pie charts and all these different kinds of sections. For myself personally, I really need to keep things as simple as possible. So I have a specific section of my Notion dashboard where I keep a little template where I'm able to track my annual income throughout the year as I get paid month by month, as well as having a little monthly expenses tracker for every single month of the year so that I'm able to track how much I'm spending and on what every month and every year. This includes both my static bills like my rent payments, my phone bill, my cable and internet, as well as all of the tools that I invest in as a creator for my channel, as well as all of my expenses that are going to vary month to month, like my groceries and things that I decide to buy month to month. And not only is this an incredible organizational tool to have a really good idea of what I earn versus what I spend, but it's also a really good place to track all of my work expenses and all of my tax write-offs, so that when I am filing my taxes at the end of the fiscal year, everything is organized in those templates. I can calculate things really easily and input all that information into my taxes. So before I get into paying myself or separating my paychecks at all, the first thing I do on the first day of every single month is input every one of those static bills into that month's tracker, so that before I even get paid a single penny, I know exactly that month how much of my paycheck has to go towards paying my bills. Then once every one of those bills are paid and I'm left with just the money from my paycheck that I am banking, then my next step is separating what I'm investing from what I'm banking. I have a wonderful financial advisor slash accountant that handles absolutely all of that for me, because when it comes to things like investments and the stock market, I am a noob. So I very much let him handle all of that for me so that I don't have to think about it. But working in social media full time, never knowing month to month or year to year exactly how much I'm going to be making, never really knowing month to month exactly how that month's paychecks are going to affect my finances and my financial future, I put a lot of stock into planning and organizing my financial future, including things like I mentioned before, like creating a pension and retirement fund, since like I said, I don't have an employer that does any of that for me. Now when it comes to exactly how much of each one of my paychecks I put into my investments month to month, that is also going to vary. I don't have any kind of a specific number or percentage to give you. It's really going to depend month to month on my financial advisor's recommendations for that month and how much he suggests I invest. But before I bank any of the money from my paychecks after I have paid all of my bills, I always have that monthly financial meeting with my financial advisor so we can discuss exactly what to do with those those paychecks, how much to invest, and all of that stuff. Pretty much since the very first day that I ever started my content creator journey and my job as a full-time content creator, once I hired him on as my advisor and accountant, we actually set up a very specific step-by-step plan so that I can eventually someday retire a millionaire. So definitely that monthly meeting that I have with him deciding how much to invest is a very crucial part of that routine. Then my third consideration when it comes to paying myself are my taxes. Again, because I am self-employed, because I don't have an employer that pays me X amount of money every month and every year, I never know until the end of the fiscal year exactly how much I'm gonna make throughout the year and how much I'm gonna owe on my taxes. So what it is I've done for my own peace of mind, I've set up both my provincial and my national tax accounts to be able to pay my taxes quarterly rather than all at once at the end of the year. That just makes being able to pay my taxes so much easier. There was a time that I very much did make the very big mistake of having to pay my taxes all at once in one shot, and I'm never going there again. So at the beginning of every quarter of the year, I sign into both my provincial and my federal tax accounts, and there is a number waiting there for me to tell me exactly how much I owe for that quarter. Then I can basically take that number, sit down with my financial advisor, break down that number by 3 monthly payments and what I'm gonna owe for that quarter. Depending on how much I owe for that quarter, how much I'm gonna have to pay for each one of those 3 months, that determines how much comes out of every monthly paycheck for that quarter. Obviously, it is never a fun time to see a substantial amount of money come out of your paycheck and go to the government. However, that is the best way I have found to protect myself from having to pay a giant lump sum of money at the end of the year in tax season. So after I've paid all of my bills, after I've put X amount into my investments for the month, then the third step is paying my quarterly taxes. After that, after I've checked off all 3 of those steps, each one of those boxes, I can finally bank what's left and put it in my savings. So now I wanted to share a little bit about the mindset and lifestyle shifts that have made the biggest difference in my adult years when it comes to managing and handling my finances and paying myself a salary. And one of the mindset shifts that has had the biggest impact on me as an adult handling my finances is living below my means. Growing up, I was definitely raised around a lot of people who had that instinct and that mindset of, oh, I have $50, it's like having $500, which definitely had a very large impact on me my first year ever making 6 figures as a creator, because I was living at home, I didn't have any bills to pay, didn't really have any big financial responsibilities. So I definitely went a little bit hog wild that year, bought a bunch of concert tickets, the latest new gadgets that came out, traveled a little bit, really just being so excited that I could finally take my family and friends out to dinner without having to be super stressed over the number that was going to be waiting for me on the bill. Until my first ever year having to actually pay taxes on my 6-figure income and realizing just how much I was mindlessly spending, just how fast all that money can go, and how much I still had to pay on my taxes. And also the tax implications when you spend that much money on things that are not tax write-offs or business expenses. So definitely safe to say in the years coming after that, I definitely learned the importance of living below your means, leading a lifestyle where you spend a whole lot less than you actually make every month and every year, and the importance of saving for a rainy day, especially in the creator economy where you could literally make like $100,000 in 1 month and make less than $2,000 the next month. I definitely went a little hard as an 18-year-old who was first beginning to make all this money and more money than I had ever really known before, but safe to say I have definitely financially matured in my 20s. I have been very much humbled by having to pay rent and my bills, having to pay taxes, having to financially plan and investing, paying quarterly taxes. I've definitely become a lot less of a shopper, a lot more of an intentional shopper, and I really do love saving my money. A second sort of mindset and goal that I've really trained myself to have in mind is having some kind of a savings fund that I'm focused on. Every year I like to have some kind of a vacation planned or some concert that I want to go to or some kind of thing that I want to buy myself, just something to reward myself at the end of the year. So as an example, next year in April 2024, my mom and I are going to Disney World for my 25th birthday. So that has been my really big savings goal for the year. Every time I think to spend money on something kind of meaningless, something I don't really need, that's when I sort of stop myself and ask myself, is this really worth taking money away from that Disney trip to buy whatever that is? When I have some sort of a bigger thing that I'm saving for, that I'm motivated by, that's when I become a lot more financially intelligent, find myself spending a whole lot less throughout the year, and just all around being a whole lot more intentional and intelligent with my finances. So that, you guys, is it for this video. That is my step-by-step process on how I manage my paychecks and my finances and pay myself a salary as a full-time YouTuber. Hopefully, if any of you guys have ever had that same question I had when I first got started, hopefully this was a good answer for you, gave you a little bit of insight. As always, thank you all for watching. I love you all to the moon and back, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!